crowd of angry residents threw mud at the Spanish royals and government officials during their visit to a city heavily impacted by last week's floods.
The Israeli military says its naval forces have captured a senior Hezbollah operative in a northern Lebanon sea raid. Polls open in Moldova's presidential runoff against a backdrop of concerns over a vote-buying scheme supported by Russia. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris hold their final weekend rallies in the swing state of North Carolina ahead of Tuesday's presidential election.
A crowd of angry residents threw mud at King Felipe and Queen Letizia, as well as government officials who were visiting the city of Paiporta on the outskirts of Valencia, one of the most heavily impacted areas by last week's deadly floods. Security officials were quick to open umbrellas to offer protection from the flying mud, while in the background people were screaming insults. The devastating floods, which killed at least 214 people, claimed the lives of at least 60 people in Paiporta. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez was the first to leave the scene, with Valencian President Carlos Mazón following shortly after. The king and the queen stayed behind, and the monarch was determined to hear out what people had to say. And after approximately half an hour of tension, they were escorted away by police officers. The pair were expected to travel to Chiva next, another heavily impacted town near the city of Valencia, but this trip was allegedly postponed.
Israeli naval forces have captured a senior Hezbollah operative in northern Lebanon. An Israeli military official said that IDF commandos captured a senior operative of Hezbollah and took him back to Israel for investigation by military intelligence. The media outlet Axios cited Israeli sources as saying the captured man is called Imad Amhaz and is allegedly responsible for Hezbollah's naval operations. Lebanon's caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati called on his foreign minister to file a complaint against Israel at the UN Security Council. Hezbollah and Israel have traded almost daily fire since the war in Gaza began in October last year. The year-long cross-border fighting, which has displaced tens of thousands on both sides of the border, erupted into full-blown war on the 1st of October when Israeli forces launched a ground invasion of southern Lebanon. 15,000 IDF soldiers are said to be based in the country. Polls have opened in Moldova, with voters choosing who will head the country in the second-round presidential election. During the first round of voting on the 20th of October, incumbent Maia Sandu led with 42% of the vote, but failed to win an outright majority, while Russia-friendly Alexander Stoyanoglu took 26%. The former Soviet republic aspires to join the European Union, but is caught in a constant geopolitical tug-of-war between Moscow and the West. In an October referendum, joining the EU passed by a razor-thin majority of 50.3%, bolstered in the final hours of counting by the overseas vote. However, that result was overshadowed by allegations of a Moscow-backed vote-buying scheme. Moldova is one of Europe's poorest countries, therefore watchdogs believe that some citizens could be influenced by electoral corruption for small sums of money. Democrat Kamala Harris and Republican Donald Trump have held their final weekend campaign rallies in the swing state of North Carolina ahead of Tuesday's presidential election. Trump pledged to bring back the American dream and claimed that suburban Americans are under attack by criminals. He vowed to deport millions of immigrants if he's elected and warned that if Harris wins, every town in America would be turned into a squalid, dangerous refugee camp. Harris, meanwhile, has urged her supporters to vote early so she can be elected and provide the new generation of leadership. She also pledged affordable housing and health care and promised to protect women's reproductive rights. Pollster 538 predicts a very tight race, with Harris currently polling at 48% and Trump at just under 47%.